And no, unfortunately, we won't have Big Papa Wheat joining us. I saw some of you talk about that in the chat. Wheat is currently living it up in Las Vegas, but you are in the capable hands of Lethal and myself as we jump into the start of this series, k1llsen versus dramiS.
Yeah, sadly, Wheat's not with us this time round, but he will be next week, I'm sure. It's now dramiS trying to stand his ground a little bit. A nice bit of tri-bolt damage as well, and a huge amount with the heavy machine gun. Just trying to add to the tally here, trying to catch him off guard. Fake out with the orb. Good rocket as well, 53. If he gets on the tri-bolt, oh, look how much he must have at least 1 or 2 HP before able to save his bacon there, and catches him as he's going towards top mid. That was huge there for dramiS.
Very solid play, catching k1llsen out in midair. Nice spread between the items as well. 10 seconds. Oh, look at that rail. That is so good. And k1llsen actually ends up trading places with dramiS, who is now poised to take the Mega. He's got all the weapons. He's got the stack he needs. k1llsen overextends, takes far too much damage. That was a lot more tribal than he was bargaining for. And now dramiS ends up giving up on the heavy though. k1llsen landing a long distance rocket to the face. dramiS not prepared for that. But still, the American has a 2-frag lead.
Yeah, you can see dramiS was just thriving off the adrenaline there from the previous frags. He was hoping to try at least clean up that last one. Could have backed away, but decided not to, because not only that, but it was due to the fact that he wanted to contest that heavy to the best of his ability. And now dramiS is just... Oh, he actually ult back up in the end, so he's going to let him have it. He's actually hit the rail straight afterwards with k1llsen, and he should be able to clean this up. But as we say that though, k1llsen did take a lot of damage towards the end of that fight. Now it's about what dramiS wants to try and do next. Of course, k1llsen goes 2 for 2 with the rail straight afterwards. All tied up. It's only been 2 minutes of play. It's actually going straight for the Mega. But of course, k1llsen, so he was sitting there waiting by. Didn't even pick up the LG on the way. And that's going to be it. 4-3 now for k1llsen.
And just like that, 3-1 lead for dramiS. It's turned into 4-3 advantage for k1llsen. It's the power of the Athena, the speed, both vertically and horizontally, and that is something that very few other champions can say. Excellent rockets as well. But can k1llsen make a move for the Mega? Indeed he can. Such quick decision making, the confidence there, Lethal. He spots dramiS down below at heavy machine gun, and he knows just like that in an instant that he has a very tight angle to just hook himself up and steal away the Mega, knowing very well that dramiS can't beat him to it. So quick on his feet, quick in the decision making as well. That is why k1llsen is one of the absolute best in the business.
Things have escalated very quickly once more. Good shotgun shot and good use of dramiS there. Just good individual play. Now to take down k1llsen, but as well as that, nice bit of rocket damage straight afterwards. Hasn't got the LG to his name, but the rocket to rail combo was absolutely sublime here. And it looks like dramiS has absolutely no thought about giving up this first map. Has already retaliated with 2 back-to-back frags. Has the Mega. Look at the stack he has as well. He's in a prime position now to try and put a little bit more pressure on to k1llsen.
dramiS has been so aggressive with that orb, using it less for positional or defensive purposes, but just to close the gap at the end and then go all in with the rockets to take down k1llsen. It's been working out in his favor, but now he is kind of stuck. Will secure himself the small armor, but gets 0 damage in that last engagement. Like what he was going for, but the rocket jump didn't quite line it up nicely. He almost made it out of there still, but even then, k1llsen with the hook would have been able to chase him down, but it was a solid attempt by dramiS nonetheless.
Yeah, and plus with Ranger's passive ability, he could have done it all day long, couldn't he? So it wasn't really too much of an issue taking damage, of course. k1llsen now. Look at that LG. Comes and actually orbs in as well. Did some decent damage, but wasn't enough to turn the tide here. So Mega's going up any second now. Heavy up in the next 7. Whereas k1llsen's now going to be in prime position to try and grab. Let's see if he can catch him off guard beforehand, though. Catch him with that first rail. And dramiS once again in a world of trouble. That would have been a optimistic but a sick rocket if he was able to land it. But sadly, he has not. 5 minutes in. Catches dramiS from behind. Should be able to clean up with that rocket. Nicely done. 10-5. 5 kill deficit now for dramiS to try and claw back from. Almost 6, but doesn't hit that last rail.
Very reserved by k1llsen right there. He probably could have made a move in that situation, push in into the LG room to try and take dramiS down, but he realized that he had done everything that he needed, didn't want to stick around to open himself up for too much damage by perhaps missing another rail or so, and so he just hooked right on out of there, making his way onto the Mega, knowing very well that he had done everything he needed to do to keep dramiS under control. But now the American, the Dragonborn esports player, doing a solid job. If he can get onto the Mega right now, k1llsen has indeed lost control. Very solid push by dramiS, but oh no! Disaster! Completely loses control of where k1llsen is at. Ooh. And somehow k1llsen secures a win right there. That should not have happened, but dramiS quick on his feet, immediately retaliating.
The only thing dramiS has got going for him now is, of course, the starting stack of the Athena when he actually gets k1llsen on spawn, but look at this. So now just slowly creeping on up from 7-5 frag deficit. Just pick up the Mega in the meantime. Could continue this engagement if he wants. No reason why he shouldn't. He's got the advantage here. Takes that first rail, misses the second, but that's more due to the fact that dramiS was, of course, trying to bait out that last rail. Double backing, good stuff there from dramiS once again. So it's definitely in the realms of possibility here. 3 minutes left. dramiS is biding his time to see if k1llsen's going to carry on pushing towards Mega. It's going to be up in the next 10 seconds. Trying to use the orb, trying to get him away. Good stuff from dramiS there. Exactly what he planned out. Now just needs to keep on pinning k1llsen down. Heavy's up in the next few seconds. And dramiS is definitely in a good spot to try and tie this up.
I mean, this is far from over. Just want to do a bit of a throwback, Lethal. Think about this map. dramiS versus Rafa. Rafa had a 7 frag lead at one point, and still, dramiS brought it back. 3 minutes?
True.
3 frags in 2.5 minutes, rather. That is well within the realm of possibility, and with the way that dramiS has been playing, is making his way around the map right now. Look at the stack he's got. This should absolutely be possible. Plus, Ranger is also one of the few champions that has that explosive burst of movement that can actually catch up with an Athena.
He can't afford to take too much chip damage here, though, because he needs to try and contest this Mega up around top mid. 3 seconds left, but it looks like he's going to have to give this Mega up, especially after that last rail shot coming out from k1llsen. Huge plays from him. And it looks like k1llsen is going to be able to seal the deal on that last frag. That one rail on the staircase going up to top mid changed everything then. And dramiS knew that. He knew that he couldn't be as aggressive with the stack he had and try and go for the trade, as well as pushing up for that Mega. But saying that, though, even though he's able to take him down once more, he's still got to try and find 5 frags. It's going to be very, very difficult for dramiS here to try and recuperate.
With the control that k1llsen has right now, I think that this is a done deal. dramiS, he came close, nearly had it, but in that one disastrous fight where he had the center position in the T room, and k1llsen was set up onto the Mega Health, that just spelled disaster. Now dramiS still gonna get himself a few frags, but 5 kills. Oh, okay. Make it 4 in 45 seconds against a champion that is so much faster than you. I was talking about the Ranger Orb and how good it is at catching Athena, yes, but you can only use it once every, 45 seconds, maybe half a minute if you secure all the hourglasses. And dramiS just really doesn't have that time. He would need to rely on his ability far more often than he will have it available. And so that means that k1llsen should comfortably be able to just run down the clock at this point.
Yeah, this shouldn't be an issue. k1llsen had the right mindset and game plan when dramiS had that advantage, trying to make that comeback. Still manages to pick up the Mega dramiS, but it's not going to be enough here. k1llsen still wins out on that last bout. 5 seconds left, and that's 16 to 11 in favour of k1llsen. But that was a dicey little number there in that first map. It was definitely a lot more chaotic than we expected.
Oh yeah. Now, I think I saw the stats just before the end. dramiS had slightly more major items picked up, the exact same amount of smaller armors, but in terms of damage, it was all the k1llsen show. I think he had around, what, 1,700 points of damage over his opponent last time I checked, so k1llsen was definitely the one living it up, landing most of the shots. Now, dramiS, as you can see right now in the replay, got off to such a tremendous start, landing some beautiful rails, but ultimately, there were those opening few minutes, and k1llsen brought it back in style. And then around the middle part of the map, as we're seeing right now, dramiS really started to mount a nice comeback, getting within 3 frags of his opponent, but this was the one where it fell short. dramiS just unable to do the damage, as k1llsen was purged onto that mega health. And then the rails coming out of the German, living up to his name, ultimately ended up being dramiS's demise. So well played by k1llsen, but dramiS definitely putting up a solid fight, and I think that this was going to have been a closer game than many would have expected.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well, and you can see of course, the percentages there. k1llsen with the 50%, 47% with the LG as well. Even if it gets a medium-sized champion, that's, again, just incredible stuff there. Just coming out of the gates really strong, really hot as well in this first map in the series. And dramiS will have to decide exactly how he wants to go about doing things here. It's going to be on Corrupted Keep next, which was, of course, k1llsen's pick. It's a little bit of a surprise pick for me here, but maybe he feels like dramiS can struggle sometimes on Corrupted Keep, and this could be a time for him to not only get some practicing in a tournament setting, but also at the same time to try and take advantage of that. You know, try and take advantage of the weaknesses here coming out from dramiS, and just see if he can do what he can onto Corrupted Keep. And if k1llsen does win this map, and obviously he will win this series outright 2-0 going into the third map, then he'll be pretty safe. He'll be pretty happy considering the little discussion we had with the champion picks on Ruins earlier on. So k1llsen's going to be looking to try and win this the best he can.
Yeah. Now, the most interesting part, in my eyes, going into this map is what the Anarchy is going to be played like, right? We used to see a ton of Anarchy on Corrupted Keep. Back in the day, it really was one of the most popular picks, but ever since then, the skateboard flying junkie has kind of fallen off a little bit, and he really isn't that much of a meta pick in the current competitive scene, whereas Strog, of course, tried and tested, see him very, very often because of that mobility, because of the Peaker not having the default counter, because of the lack of a railgun on this map. So Strog tried and tested, see him all the time, but Anarchy, not that common of a pick anymore. So I'm curious to see exactly how dramiS is going to approach it. Now, we know that he loves to go fast, right? Slash is his baby, but he is no worse when it comes to the air control champions like Anarchy. So let's see what he can bring to the table.
So, will indeed, if you're just joining us, it's the final series of the day, second map between dramiS and k1llsen. k1llsen just won the first map 16-11. dramiS put up a pretty damn good fight as well. Speaking of fights, though, that was just an engagement in itself. k1llsen tried to do a little bit more damage with that heavy machine gun. Does have the LG in hand, does have the rockets as of yet, but he's in a position where he doesn't really need it until later on. And literally just hiding behind this wall, he's going to catch dramiS, just tickled him a tad in terms of damage, gets the heavy and manages to scarper away.
Good LG dramiS, definitely was not expecting to run into the big man going up the bounce pad. And that has given k1llsen an opportunity to delete nearly all of dramiS his stack. Now, he has been able to use that injection to get some health back. He managed to pick up the small green armor next to him, but now k1llsen is in trouble. Perhaps a little too trigger happy, using the Peaker right there. Might not have realized that dramiS had fallen down with him and was essentially staring him down in that engagement. So that gives the American from Dragonborn Esports the first frag of this series, this map rather. And now k1llsen's the one on the back foot.
Certainly has done, and the engagement's continuing in that red room. Uses that injects at the best of times. Still coming up 1-0. items barely segregated, so nothing really too much to talk about there. Look and see if he can pick up the light before he gets the Mega, but it's not going to be there. So he's going to try and pick up the Mega now, and if he can, get out of the poor position he's in at the moment here. But the Pika's going to do a fair amount of damage, waiting for k1llsen to push on forward, and messed up rocket jump there, I believe, from k1llsen. As he's done a huge amount there with that heavy machine gun, just to try and even out the stack once more. dramiS, that was a great way to retaliate. He's in the position he was in with that LG. It could have been a different story here if he was actually not failing that last rocket jump, but it's definitely been a talking point for a lot of these players in every series today. But dramiS looking very good.
Yeah, indeed. I also like how proactive he is in trying to do damage. He could have just gone straight back for the heavy, but he realized that k1llsen had essentially nothing to take a fight at longer distances, so he just stuck around for a few extra seconds to help k1llsen with at least some of that heavy machine gun, and that adds up over time. The cessing, as people call it, the damaging, the slight little chip damage with the machine gun is so important on this map because there is no railgun to speak. So dramiS making really good use of his position right there. Ooh. Excellent read as well. Probably heard k1llsen come around the corner at the last possible second. Holds his own.
Well, it's better than one direct, two directs, isn't it, here, Flea? And looks like his rockets have been ridiculously good. Makes up for the LG that k1llsen has as well, and k1llsen still hasn't got the first frag yet. It's just a matter of time, I feel, as he's come up very close to taking down dramiS, but he might find him here, catches him with the LG top mid. Good rockets though, retaliating from dramiS. Just hoping for dear life those two bubbles would appear beyond his very eyes to see if he can try and recover, which he has done. But heavy though, oh, that was perfect. We're talking about the rockets just now as well. Sprinkle damage from the last rocket, and now the LG coming out to boot. And there we have it. dramiS looking very solid. Pick up the armor classes for his next inject. Gets to heavy too. Now just needs to deny some of these weapons. Deny the rockets the best he can, or at least do some damage and take advantage of it. Already doing 105 with a heavy machine gun, and k1llsen's in a world of trouble once again.
Oh, sick play by k1llsen. The juke. I think dramiS, as was pretty much convinced that k1llsen had dropped down. And so dramiS figured it was safe for him to just jump out into the room, maybe make a play for that small armor himself. But no, k1llsen was just waiting right around the doorstep. And as dramiS was still using his rockets, trying to get damage in and pre-fire on the item further in the distance, k1llsen was just right up into his face. So perfect play by the German. Didn't result in a frag, but that definitely stopped some of the momentum that dramiS was building.
Yeah, one of the key points was definitely the ammo management coming from dramiS. If he had just a couple more rockets, that would have easily been a frag for him. Sadly not vote. As things have come a bit of a stalemate here.
5 minutes.
Both players are going to get each other's items for now. Using that inject and picking up the heavy just to get ready to try and engage. He knows k1llsen's above him, but as if he hasn't got the info. Now he does, dropping down rockets from k1llsen. k1llsen desperately wants to try and inflict a little bit more damage, or put at least some damage onto dramiS to suffocate him the best he can, especially in this red room. But we know what the verticality's like, and he commits suicide as well. With the Mega come up in the next couple of seconds, that was the last thing you wanted.
Does net himself a nice spawn on the heavy right there. Not a bad play ultimately by dramiS. Didn't really have much to escape to. Now still, essentially no delay between the items. And this is something that you commonly see in that first half at least of Corrupted Keep. Making it almost impossible for either player to get full control. And so far, dramiS has really been getting the most out of the split, because he is able to take away the heavy, and that's what he wants. Because he's playing the light champion, they are more dependent on those armor pickups. Plus, he's got the injection, so he can kind of create his own mega health if he can get up to that base health stack. Whereas k1llsen obviously wants to reverse the roles. He wants to be in control of the heavy and force dramiS onto the mega, or even better yet, on nothing at all. But these rockets, lethal, just look at that. Oh, what a distance on that one. As k1llsen will fall to dramiS, and he is going to be beating himself up over that one, because how does that connect from such a distance? How does it do so much damage?
It's just been good reads from dramiS all round, hasn't it? Of course, there's a little bit of luck involved, but making those reads. And the fact that he predicted that k1llsen's going to rocket jump up and try and put additional pressure onto him, the heavy machine gun, was, again, just incredible. Good rockets from both players. Both of them are going to trade things out. 3 minutes left. dramiS hanging on for dear life for this 2-frag lead. But it does pick up the mega anyway. Light's not up yet, but it will be soon. But will be greeted by k1llsen headed up to the rocket straight away. He's trying to try and get out of it now. 35 HP. He's on the hunt though. Finally gives up. Gives k1llsen a little bit of a chance to breathe, but 21 HP. As if k1llsen's been able to stay alive this entire time. And dramiS is just not letting up. He's not giving up at all in the slightest.
That might change his mind though. The hundo to the face, big direct as a defensive rocket. That is going to give k1llsen the breathing room that he needs. Otherwise, I do think that dramiS would have hounded him till the edge of the world. But no. The defensive rockets save his skin that time, but he needs more than to just stay alive. He still needs 2 frags in 2 minutes. And again, another big rocket. Both of these players have been hitting some obscene shots. It's been dramiS landing the offensive rockets, getting him the frags, but it's been k1llsen doing so much on the defensive side to keep this to such a close scoreline.
Oh man, that could be the change in frag. Considering he didn't burn it as he approaching that fight. But yeah, you're right though. Like k1llsen's probably saying to dramiS, how do you like it now? Getting these direct rockets, which are not even in my own favour, and dramiS is so super weak. Still able to stay alive, but got his 1 frag lead. He can't afford to rely on the mobility and speed due to the strong, of course. Just needs to work out the best way to try and get a decent amount of chip damage and not engage into the LGs from k1llsen. It looks like it's already going to be a tough course already, as k1llsen takes him down, tie things up 5 apiece, and this is not the spawn you want here, Flea. Takes him down instantly with the super shotty now, and with a 1 frag lead, and now coming in through the red room, extends it by 2, just like that.
Wow. 3 frags in real quick succession. dramiS is hoping that the super shotgun will serve him better, but no. k1llsen bringing it back, and with style. It all started falling apart when dramiS lingered around that heavy armor just a little too long. But of course, it's an impossible situation to find yourself in, right? What do? Do you just keep running with no stack to your name? Well, you have to at some point try to deny at least an item, right? Because there's still so much time left. Your opponent has so much stack to work with. You can't just let them take everything. And so dramiS committed to that one. Ended up being the wrong decision. But still, a very close game till the final minute or so. But it will be k1llsen still insurmountable, taking down dramiS on map 2 as well.
Yeah, k1llsen's been very good, giving dramiS false hope on a number of occasions, but this is got to keep in a nutshell, really. If you trap him on spawn just like that, these things can happen. And that heavy machine gun spawn into the red room spawn, just outside, of course, that death cycle in terms of the respawn, in terms of the radius, he was able to pick him apart straight away. dramiS knew he was done for straight away, and there was a little bit of a shame, but also for k1llsen, he's probably pretty happy knowing that he's going into that Sorlag versus Slash Ruins matchup, knowing he's got a 2-0 lead.
Indeed, k1llsen gonna secure himself 1 more win, but dramiS' performance, Lethal, was absolutely nothing to be sorry about either. He really made k1llsen work for it. With maybe a minute and a half left on the clock, he seemed like the one poised to secure the win and tie it up in terms of map score. So dramiS is really still showing that he can tango with the absolute best of them. Yes, this makes it 2-0, but both of these games have been a lot closer than I think a lot of people would have expected, and it's just a testament to how much dramiS has improved over time, right? First, he beats the likes of Rafa, Razy, Wenger, and now he goes up against k1llsen, who has only lost to Wenger this entire season. and he really pushes him to the brink. So dramiS, no matter how this series ends, this is not a bad showing whatsoever.
No, it's not bad at all here. And for dramiS, if he can at least claws one map back, it will, give a bit of pride here coming up from that series. Now that he's able to get a little bit more dosh in his pocket, and at the same time, is able to do which not many people can do really, and take just the odd map or two off the kills. And it is very, very tough task indeed. There are some players out there where you could play against a guy 100 times and may only take one, if you're lucky, like to that circumstance, because he's that good of a player in terms of everything he has in his arsenal. And if you can see already, k1llsen is already up 2-0 in the series. And looking at now, to see exactly what dramiS can do now, going to this third and final map on Ruins. But talk to me a little bit about the sorlag and the Slash matchup here, because we spoke about a lot at the beginning. But in case there's some people weren't here, of course, it does have its disadvantages, but then again, it has its advantages. But there's a lot of nitpicking you can talk about in terms of being able to try and at least survive with the Slash after certain engagements.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the biggest thing here, of course, is the stack difference, right? Slash is a small, squishy champion, a light champion, who spawns with 0 armor to her name, whereas sorlag is one of the heavier, the bigger champions in this pool. So C has a lot of starting stack to work with. As an overall bigger champion, she has a slightly larger or significantly larger hitbox in some cases, but that is matched by a lot more stack. And so k1llsen is going to have to be so careful, because sorlag off spawn can essentially rival Slash even after she gets the frag and picks up one major item. Plus, this is also Ruins of Sarnet that we're talking about, and this is a map where it can be extremely tricky to play a light champion. Why? Because the lights are so dependent on those small armor pickups, and the small armors on this map are in really difficult spots. Both are on these little plazas, these squares on either side of the map, where if you commit to picking them up, you don't have an easy way out. And if your opponent controls the center of the map, they can punish you so badly for making a move on the small armors that you really need to stay competitive as a light champion. So this can be very tricky for k1llsen, and he has to be hitting a lot more than dramiS, and he's going to have to be a lot more cautious as well. Plus, think about the spit, the toxic damage coming through as well. So this is, I think, a bit of an uphill battle for k1llsen.
I completely agree going into this, and if k1llsen finds a way into this matchup, that wouldn't surprise me either. So now we're going to be kicking things off from dramiS's POV. Let's see if we can claw at least a map back in this series. Just getting all the weapons in his arsenal for now. Managed to pick up that Mega. There's both items only a little bit delayed here, just by about 4 or 5 seconds. But at the same time, though, dramiS is also tanking a lot of damage here. k1llsen just firing back with so many rails from that angle. And we know how difficult it can be trying to shoot some of the rail was to use that heavy machine gun. It's just that really off-key strafe pattern they have. But dramiS does survive, and we'll be picking up that next Mega.
k1llsen definitely got the spawn that he was hoping for. Being able to deny the railgun and the lightning gun from dramiS, that's the best case scenario for him. Because we know just how talented k1llsen is when it comes to the railgun. And especially when he's going up against a larger target like sorlag, knowing that dramiS really is in no position to take any long-distance fights, he is just keeping this on lockdown, hiding, trying to do damage with the railgun, and ultimately springing the perfect trap, just as he did, waiting, switching to the LG the moment that dramiS drops down and getting himself that first frag. And now again, dramiS kind of finding himself in the exact same position. He's got the Mega to work with, but he doesn't really have the weaponry that he wants.
Certainly does not. Doesn't have rockets either, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging to contest this Mega, especially if dramiS pushes forward towards that T-junction. It looks like k1llsen does decide to back away. Perfectly understandable, and just try and go for the heavy instead. But we'll find dramiS just popping out from the courtyard to try and pick up that light. It's a very crucial rail indeed, and just needs to keep this up and continue to do his chip damage. But so far, though, it's good what we've been seeing from dramiS. But saying that, though, dramiS hit that rail as well. We're going to see a trade from both these players, and k1llsen, of course, is still going to have that lead. But he spawns on the rockets and the LG. As k1llsen is going to be slapping his face a little bit annoyed probably at the fact that he got a better spawn. But yeah, these things happen here. As dramiS does tie things up and now picks up the Mega.
Now, just to add to the point that I was making, less than, what, 15 seconds ago, k1llsen had done more damage with just a railgun than dramiS had with every single weapon combined. And that's exactly the point that I was trying to make when it comes to how important it is to keep control over the right weapons. dramiS really just couldn't take those long-distance fights, and he had to be so careful. Now Heavy, once again going towards k1llsen. But a near perfect split. The major item pickups. k1llsen hasn't secured a single Mega. He knows that as a light champion, Heavy is the most important one of the two.
And he didn't have rockets either, so it's even more difficult to really cover that T-junction there, which is, of course, the rockets vital to stop your opponent coming from there to reroute around. dramiS, so good first shot, looking for the second if he can, but will he be able to catch him as he goes towards for that bubble? Just barely misses there. And it does mean, though, we've still got a while yet until the Heavy does spawn. So dramiS, still getting a little bit of time, hits another one. Will he be able to hit the second, though? No, doesn't say he's not even going to get the opportunity.
Good read by dramiS. Oh, but he doesn't commit. I was expecting him to just loop around and just instantly dive past the eyeball into that little corridor, the little stairwell down to Heavy. But doesn't matter in the end. He catches k1llsen again, and this is the plight of the lights on the map that is ruins. Once things aren't in your favor anymore, it can be so difficult to just stay in the game, especially when you're up against a champion that's outstacking you by this much. Because dramiS, he can eat those rails for days. Yeah, k1llsen is playing a solid defensive game right now, but dramiS is doing so well, keeping control of these items.
dramiS so far so good. Took a little bit of damage there. Just baiting k1llsen to go through to that TP, but looks like he won't be able to. And he realises he's just going to walk into a trap, so there's absolutely no point. Heavy's up in the next 5 seconds. His dramiS has all the info he needs. I was waiting to see if he would drop down that Heavy jump pad, but looks like k1llsen's not going to be that obvious here for dramiS. Does successfully pick up that Mega, sorry, the Heavy. Mega's just been picked up by k1llsen as well. Items are segregated, which means that whoever's going to win this next engagement could be loving life by them. But the problem is dramiS is going to take away too much. Wrong weapon selection, probably. And k1llsen comes out on top and barely took any damage.
3 rockets, not a single point of damage. You hate to see it. Ugh, even if those had hit for, say, what, 30 damage apiece, dramiS would not have been in a bad position. But look at that, the midi, the rocket taking down k1llsen. dramiS at a very opportune time as well, just before the Mega spawn. Nice little vertical rail as well. The Americans looking solid. Now Heavy up in just 10 seconds. Both players making a play for it. But again, Rockets versus LG. He needs to come through big, and indeed he will. k1llsen may be representing Team Big, but that was a big play by k1llsen, or against him rather, as dramiS is now really starting to feel himself.
So it's done indeed. Mega has been picked up by dramiS now, looking to see if he can continue where he left off. He needs to work on his ammo management though. He does know he's only got a few rockets left remaining. So of course, contesting these items will be a little bit more difficult. He doesn't seem to be too bothered about it as of yet. Picks up the Heavy. And it's all about k1llsen and how he's going to do enough chip to engage in some of his bouts. And the problem is for k1llsen, as we spoke about previously, is the starting stack of the Sorlag is just going to be horrendous here for k1llsen. Even if he does win a quite clean engagement here. Good rail from k1llsen as well. Good read from him. His dramiS now just back away, picks up the light. Mega's up in the next 12 seconds. Heavy's up though. Looks like dramiS will be leaving it, which is perfectly understandable after that last little scuffle. And now k1llsen's slowly making a comeback in terms of stack.
Mega will stop the bleeding. The poison damage over time won't continue any longer. And now k1llsen making his mark on the scoreboard once again. Nice little combo. Good thing for dramiS that he retaliated right there. If he had missed that shot, k1llsen would have been all over him, and this would have been a tied game. So that was such a key, a clutch rail to keep himself in the lead. But it is k1llsen. Picked up the heavy, picked up the mega. And he isn't going to give up on that rotation that easily.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to drop for this heavy. Not a chance in hell. He backs away and re-rotates around. He just needs to try and pick up his lights to even the playing field a bit. Which he's going for at the moment. And that first rail miss is going to give dramiS some breathing room to pick up some of his lights here. There's a little bit of damage. He comes up with the LG and still takes him down. As he felt like that was his one moment to try and contest for that mega here. And look at that though, he's already taken a lot from that LG coming from dramiS here. k1llsen backing away, 35 HP. Is dramiS even going to try and go with this? As k1llsen has picked up the heavy, mega's going up in the next 10 seconds and he's in the prime position again to contest this.
This split between the items is not favorable to dramiS. There is so much time between mega and heavy that even if dramiS hurts k1llsen badly, the German player still has enough time to just make a nice little loop around, get himself health bubbles, pick up a small armor, and still be able to contest. So it would be a lot better for dramiS if they were closer to one another, but no! That is a bit disastrous. Lethal caught out with the wrong weapon in hand. k1llsen immediately capitalizing off of it. Bridging the gap, closing the distance right on top of dramiS, who still tries to get a desperate second rail off. He knew that switching to LG was pointless at that time. But he didn't land a single shred of damage until the end. And now, half a minute left to go. dramiS, how do you approach this? Hyper aggressively, that's how going all in on this LG fight. But no! k1llsen survives, 8 points of health. dramiS had an opportunity. Still has one, but he needs to find his opponent and needs to do it quickly.
That's definitely going to be a helping hand, but not enough for k1llsen, 5 HP. As dramiS realises that is going to be it for the map and for the series. GG's from both players. k1llsen came up clutch there, proving that sometimes if you are at a big disadvantage in terms of champion picks, you can definitely work around it, depending on who you are against. k1llsen did a fantastic job there with the slash, and there we have it. It's going to be 3-0 for k1llsen. And in all fairness, dramiS did put up a really good fight in every single map without fail.
Oh, he absolutely did. Yeah, this was a very close series. You might look at this and go, oh, 3-0 clean sweep for k1llsen, but no. This was not an easy win. This was a hard-fought battle till the end, and at one point, or at multiple points, right? Back on Corrupted Keep, it seemed like dramiS was going to take it. Back on the last map we just saw on Ruins, there was a point where dramiS absolutely could have run away with that 2-3 point lead he had with just a few minutes left on the clock, but ultimately k1llsen proved to be a little too hot to handle. Beautiful rails. Tremendous amount of damage dealt in the end, and overall dramiS fell a little short at times. Once k1llsen finally got back in control, he just used that superior speed of his to apply pressure from start to finish, and dramiS, yes, he did the best that he could. Were some really solid plays in there. I love how he approached fights with the spit. He almost always got something useful out of that ability, but ultimately k1llsen just had his number.
Certainly did. This is why k1llsen is an absolute machine. Powerhouse, whatever you want to call him. llsen there, and you can see from the accuracy again, heavily relied on the LG, but against a Solag, who wouldn't at that stage? Makes perfect sense. Of course, 54% accuracy, 47% with the rail, considering the gymnastics he was doing to get round dramiS and to try and take him down. It was just absolute madness. But there we go. That's the series for you guys at home. It was a close affair for the majority of his maps. dramiS actually had the lead in all 3 of them at one stage, and sadly just couldn't really hold his own and just couldn't be consistent enough to hold on to that lead or try and extend it to be a little bit more of a nuisance there for k1llsen there. But you know what, signs of life from dramiS does prove to me that, of course, he's already proven himself beating Rafa, Wenger, Razy, etc. The list is probably going to continue on, and it makes it more of an interesting moment for dramiS, depending on how he does at Quake.
Absolutely. Now, of course, in the end, all the praise does go towards k1llsen, right? This man has had a phenomenal showing this season, so far having lost only one series, and that was against Vangur. And other than that, he's flattened pretty much everyone he came into contact with, and he holds the absolute most deserved #1 spot on the leaderboard. So k1llsen, congratulations, the focus must be high, because this is a man who is looking to take this season by storm.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it makes you wonder if he will lose another one, considering he's already gone through a lot of the top tier players already. I think he's still got 1 or 2 left to look at throughout the second half of the season, but of course, only time will tell. Still got 7 more weeks, which can't complain leading up to QuakeCon here. And I was going to say, for you, Fleet, final thoughts before we go.
Wonderful day of Quake, as usual, right? 3 O's across the board. Zeneku first taking down CNZ, but deceptively close. I think every single one of those maps came down to a single point in the end. Then we had Maxter versus Cygib, the man from Argentina really brought it hot. 3-0 once again. Avek versus Chain, a few close encounters there, but ultimately the Polish Prince could not be stopped. 3-0 once more. And then lastly, as we see on the screen right now in the overview of the results, k1llsen versus dramiS, the man from Dragonborn Esports, the American player, shone brightly, but ultimately k1llsen proved to be a bit too strong. Yet, like you just said, Lethal, I am happy with dramiS' performance. I'm looking forward to see what he can do next.
Yeah, exactly. It just depends on who else he's going to play up against next during the second half of his season. We're going to see more of him, of course. I think he has played quite a few matches as well. Like I said, he's had a very, very tough path. The fact that he had to play against virtually the top 3 in the first half of the season straight away, very, very difficult. And it's going to make a lot of people scared to see the results he's already shown so far. So it depends on what he's going to do next. But of course, we're going to see a lot more from CNZ as well. We're going to see a bit more from dramiS because he's played only 7 matches. A lot of the players so far have already played about 8 or 9. So it does mean that we can see how dramiS does against some of the other players. But as long as he keeps up this high level of consistency, there's no reason why he can't, approach that top 8, top 6 kind of barrier. Maybe push even further than that, depending on how he plays on the day when it leads up to the finals.
Absolutely, and I think that we're still going to see a lot of players improve as we get closer towards the finals, right? That tends to be what happens. Closer you get to the big deciding championships, the bigger players are going to focus on their matches. The more they're going to practice, the more they're going to start reviewing their VODs, trying to get as much experience in against as many different players as possible. So I do expect, as usual, to see the level still spike a bit towards the end. So indeed, dramiS No Doubt is going to be part of that. But I expect just about everyone else to do the same.
Well, that's it from us, sadly, for you guys at home. We've had all 4 matches here, and it's been a slugfest. Some easy channel points as well if you guys were going through all the entirety of every series throughout the course of today. But not only that, I'm going to thank Fleet, I'm going to thank Bethesda, I'm going to thank everyone at PGL in terms of the production, but of course I'm going to thank you guys at home for staying tuned for the entirety of today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.